Here we go again. So guys, we have now got the official release of the Fantasy Premier League game. It is here and we are ready to look at our first draft in the Fantasy Premier League game for the 2021-22 season. Hopefully it isn't as intense as the last two seasons with all the postponements and the quick fixture turnaround. Fingers crossed for that one. I'm hoping for a decent normal season so I can get back to my similar ranks of 30k and up. If you are new to this channel, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please do consider hitting that like button and also subscribing to the channel for regular FPL content here on FPL Today. And also, this is my first draft, so this is going to change multiple times before the Fantasy Premier League season begins. So I sat down and looked at the prices, looked at all the players and looked at the fixtures, and we've come up with this first draft, and to be honest, I'm okay with it, but I'm not over the moon. But we do have money in the bank to upgrade some positions, so that could be something we look to do and see which players we might want in the future. Of course, there could also be transfers as well that completely change the game. So let's have a look at my first draft. So we are going to start off with the goalkeepers because, to be honest, once we've got the goalkeepers set, hopefully we can forget about that and focus on other areas. We are starting off with Robert Sanchez in goal for Brighton Hove Albion. 4.5 million, had a great end to last season, and to be honest, with a price rise to a lot of the good keepers from last year, Sanchez is the one still at 4.5 and looks like the go-to keeper for most players that are used to playing the Fantasy Premier League game. I think he will be pretty template, but I'm hoping to put him in and forget about him for the rest of the season. Of course, there is a chance that some of the promoted keepers do come out of the blocks doing really well as well. I'm looking at Bachmann from Watford as a potential go-to as well. But on the bench, we do have Foster from Wolves. He is the reserve keeper, but we're trying to spend as little money as possible. And like I said, we do have money in the bank, so we could potentially upgrade this position. We then go to the Liverpool boys, and we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold and Salah. I suppose this makes me feel a little bit comfortable because these are two of my go-tos for the previous couple of seasons. Trent has been absolutely amazing when he's on form. He did have a bad start to last season, however, and a lot of people did drop him, but he did very well for me near the end of last season. And still at 7.5 million, I think if he has a good season, he could easily be worth it with the deliveries he can put into the box. We also have Salah at 12.5 million, one of the most expensive players in the game, but I think what he brings to the table is just one of the highest scoring players in the Fantasy Premier League and one of the most consistent goal scorers, even when he isn't in form, and we could see a big season from him if he stays at Liverpool. Last season, Salah had 126 shots on goal, 52 of them being on target, which is the most of any of the players I've picked in this first draft, with 98 shots from inside the box. In comparison, one of the players that I'm going to talk about later had 51 shots inside the box, and another player that is almost as expensive had 48. Big chances, he also had 33 with expected goals at 21.76. which he just beat by 22 goals. He also managed to get 6 assists, although he was expected to get 10.78. And I think that's something to do with how Liverpool performed over the season. And 231 points last year, he is a regular scorer of over 200 points, so we're happy to bring him in. As for Trent, he managed 8 assists. That's just below his expected assists of 8.93, and he also got 2 goals. But we're hoping for a bit more from him this season. Before we move on to the next players, please do go check out Fantasy Football Hub, which is where I'm getting all of my stats for last season, and will be getting all of my stats for the up and coming season, as well as using their fixture ticker and reading some of their articles to help me in the Fantasy Premier League. Top link in the description will take you to their website where you can sign up. It does help the channel out, but it will also help out your FPL season. So we picked a couple of our staples, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Mohamed Salah. Who else could we go to? Of course, it's the man Bruno Fernandes at 12 million. Now, he again had some great underlying stats and managed to get 244 points last season. I think he's just so integral to good performances by that Man United side that he is an easy person to stick in your side. It does unfortunately mean 24.5 million is spent on 2 players in my midfield straight off the bat, but he did manage 48 shots from inside the box, getting 20 big chances in total and scoring 18 goals and getting 14 assists. I think that's something that you just cannot ignore. Now, of course, in future game weeks, when we get past the first 3 or 4, we will look to the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and other premium options and maybe look to transfer them in and out for these 2. But these are the 2 I'm going with at the beginning because of their kind fixtures. So this is looking pretty normal so far, isn't it? So the next positions we're going to move on to are the strikers, and we are going pretty cheap up front compared to most seasons at the moment. Of course, this could change. It does depend on where Harry Kane ends up. And at the time of recording this, Harry Kane is still at Spurs, but who knows where he could be. Now, Watkins and Antonio are the players I'm going with up front, although Ian Nacho was also under consideration, as well as the likes of Wood and Bamford. Now, to be honest, we don't have that much to spend up front because of how much we spent in midfield, but Watkins definitely had a great season, and Antonio, when he's on fire, can be explosive. Now, Watkins last season managed to get 14 goals and 9 assists, which is a great return for a player that's coming in at 7.5 million. Now, I'm hopeful that Aston Villa can continue their forward progression as a team. If they can't, he won't be as good a pick, of course, but we're hopeful. Antonio as well managed to get 10 goals and 5 assists. Now, this is from less minutes than Watkins, almost over 1,000 less minutes. So if Antonio can stay fit, and that is of course the issue with Antonio, he is a good pick with West Ham's fixtures. We then move on to 2 more midfielders, and we are going with Rafinha because, let's be honest, Rafinha was a revelation at Leeds last season. I do worry about the second season curse, but 6 goals and 10 assists for Rafinha, and he comes in at 6.5 million. I think that's a very kind price, and it means I've got Leeds coverage. And then Buendia joining Aston Villa. He has Watkins to supply, and if Grealish stays, that's some great creativity in that side. I think Buendia could do really well at Aston Villa. Now, I could look elsewhere, of course. I don't particularly want to go to players new to the Premier League, although Buendia did play in there a season before the last. But at the moment, Buendia is in there because of his kind price. Going back to the defence, we are looking at Digne at 5.5 million because of Everton's kind fixtures. And potentially, if Benitez does end up there at the time of recording this, that could be the case. I think Digne could be a fantastic option. We know what his delivery is like going forward. He managed last season to get no goals but 9 assists in total. So if the clean sheets increase and he gets those 9 assists, he could be a bargain. And then we've got Masuaku at the moment in the defence. Of course, he didn't play many minutes last season, but when he did look impressive, managing to get 2 assists out of 12 appearances. So we're hopeful for Masuaku to do well, but we will keep an eye on that. And of course, we could bring in different 4.5 million defenders for him. He is more of a placeholder at the moment, so I'm not that keen on him right now. And we could, of course, upgrade to someone like Luke Shaw because we have enough money in the bank. Then the final midfielder is Ismail Sarr at 6 million. Now, if we remember the season before last when Watford were in the Premier League, Ismail Sarr had some great performances and is a very explosive player, and it's a surprise he didn't leave Watford when they got relegated. So we're very hopeful that he could be a massive differential. Now, with the money we have in the bank, we could, of course, use that money to improve one of these 3 midfielders at around the 6.5 to 6 million mark, or we could spend it elsewhere. But at the moment, we're going with Sarr because of Watford's kind start. Again, it's not ideal for me, but we're going to have a look around as the weeks go on for better options. And then finally, we have the bench. We've got Williams at the moment because there's rumours he could get a loan move elsewhere. That could mean a £4 million starting defender in another side in the Premier League, which we're very hopeful for. We have Ayling in defence as well, 4.5 million. He had a great season last year for Leeds, and Leeds started to improve defensively near the end of the season, so we're hopeful there. And then Obafemi makes the final bench position. He's probably not going to start. We've still got Ings and, of course, Che Adams at Southampton. Although if Ings moves, then potentially Obafemi could be a starter. At 4.5 million, he's just there to sit on the bench for now, until we can find some starters in that kind of price bracket that could replace him. Anyway, guys, that is my first draft for the Fantasy Premier League 2021-22 season. If you have enjoyed the video, please do let me know in the comments down below. as well as hitting that like button, hitting subscribe, and hitting that notification bell to support the channel for this new season. Also, top link in the description, please do check out Fantasy Football Hub, which is where I got all my data from. Go check them out with the top link to get your access to articles, fixture tickers, and those stats I've been using to help you with your Fantasy Premier League season. With all that being said, I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.